In today's video, I'm going to be talking about an offensive tactical concept known as pinning. For the example I'm going to use today, the offensive team will be the one in blue playing in a 4-diamond-2 formation against the defensive team in yellow playing a 4-3-3. So let's go over the basics of pinning. Pinning means as an offensive player, you're holding back one or more defenders to their spot. So in this example, we'll look at the number 11 on blue. He is pinning both the number 2 and the number 4 on yellow. What this means is that if one or the other of the two yellow defenders step out of position, our number 11 in blue will be looking to take up the space that they leave in behind. So for example, if the number 2 in yellow steps out to our number 8, our number 11 is now going to look to run into the space in behind where the number 2 has left open. If the number 4 in yellow were to step out of position at any point in time, then our blue number 11 would then be looking to make a run towards the middle of the field and behind where his space has been left. Okay, so now that we've talked about the basic idea of pinning, let's look at an application into a full team. Starting here in the build-up out of the back for blue, let's look at each player on blue and who they're pinning on the defensive side. So let's start with the forward line. As we discussed before, our number 11 is pinning the right fullback on yellow and the center back, right-sided center back. And our number 9 is doing the same thing, just mirrored on the opposite side. So he is pinning the left fullback and the left-sided center back. Moving into the diamond in midfield, our number 8 on the left side is pinning in between the number 7 yellow and the number 8, and our blue number 7 is pinning between number 11 and number 10 on yellow. We will come back to number 10 in a second. Number 6, you can see, is a free man here, as there is no midfielder directly opposing him. In the defensive line, our fullbacks on the outsides are pinning both outside players on their side of the opposing team. This means that our left fullback here is pinning the right midfielder, number 7, and the right fullback, number 2. And on the opposite side, our right fullback is pinning the number 11 and the number 3. We'll see how this works in an example shortly. In the back line, we outnumber the forward of the opposition 2 defenders to 1 forward here. This means that while both center backs are technically pinning the forward, really one of them will always be open because the number 9 should not be able to mark both of them. Now let's get back to how number 10 and the number 6 work here in midfield. As you might think, the number 10 is pinning the number 6 on yellow. However, while you can have a player pinning only one player from the opposition team, it is much more effective to pin 2 players at the same time. So let's think about the second player that we would like our number 10 to pin. First of all, we should be looking at the closest opposition players to our number 10 and seeing who would be the most effective to pin. So basically, the options that are closest to our number 10, besides the already pinned number 6, are the number 8, number 10, number 5, and number 4. If our number 10 were to pin both the number 8 and the number 6, that would help our number 8 because we will be pinning his player and trying to get one of his pinned markers away from him. We could also do the same thing on the opposite side with the number 10. Depending on the team, this might make a lot of sense if our number 10 is a player who likes to drop in and help and build up a lot more. However, if our number 10 is more of a goal-scoring threat and a threat in the final third, it might make sense to pin one of the center backs alongside our number 6. Another reason why this makes sense is if we are pinning one of the midfielders along with the 6, then really that is helping mostly in the build-up phase before we get into the attacking third. However, as we talked about earlier, our number 6 is pretty much always a free man because there is no direct opposition from yellow. This means that it might be a waste for a number 10 to have to help with build-up if our number 6 is always a safe option for anybody during the build-up phase. So for this example, we're just going to say our number 10 is pinning the right-sided center back alongside the number 6. This does not mean he has to take up the position directly in between the two. This just means that if the number 4 from yellow decides to step out to close anything down, our number 10 should be looking to fill in that space and behind. These can be runs that come from deep. They don't have to be runs that start right next to the defender. Let's take a look at an example of what the buildup might look like when we're trying to pin defenders. Say our goalkeeper plays out to his left-sided center back. Our offense shifts accordingly to fill the space. Our fullback comes out wide. Our number 8 steps out, now opening the passing lane into our forward. and our number 6 holding midfielder shows to the ball in order to try to receive a pass. How the defending team responds determines who will be our open man. The number 9 previously was sort of shadowing our number 6. However, now he has the decision to make whether to step out and try to defend and try to close down our left-sided center back, or to drop in and mark our 6. If he decides to just drop in and mark our 6, this leaves our center back a lot of space to dribble into before finding another pass anyway. So we're going to assume the number 9 from yellow is going to step out to put some pressure on the ball. Assuming the yellow team is in more of a man-oriented defensive shape, the number 7 here will most likely be dragged out wide by our fullback that has now stepped out there. Otherwise, he's leaving a lot of space for the pass to be played, which is also going to lead to a lot of space down the wing. So we will also assume that this number 7 is going to step out to try to close down this pass. So if the 9 is closing down the ball and the number 7 is stepping out to the fullback that was his original mark, this leaves the yellow number 8, in a dangerous situation. He now has to choose between our number 8 and our number 6. Because our number 8 has drifted out slightly wider than his starting position, there's too much space to cover for one defender. Seeing that the number 6 is closer to the ball and would be left wide open in the middle of the field, we're going to assume that the number 8 then is going to step. So based off our assumptions, the defense will shift like this. The back line will shift across. Number 9 will come to press. The number 7 will step out wide. And our number 8, and the yellow number 8, will shade towards our 6. This now leaves our number 8 in a lot of space. The 2 men that he was pinning have both left him, the number 7 going wide and the number 8 tucking into the middle, and so now he is left in a lot of space. So if our center back finds that pass into him, and our fullback and our forward on the ball side both look to move into space, the yellow team now has to make a decision. The number 8 and the number 7 are both played out, as the number 8 has already received the ball past them and can just dribble forward ahead of them, and they will most likely not catch up. So this means that someone is going to have to step out of position. Most likely in this scenario, it would be the number 2, the right fullback, stepping out to try to close down the ball. Now remember earlier we talked about our fullbacks on the outside are pinning the outside midfielder and the outside fullback on their side. So our number 3 is pinning both the 7 and the 2. So as the 2 steps out in the yellow player's retreat, now both our 11, who is pinning the right fullback and the center back, and our left fullback, who is pinning these 2 players, have their space now to run into. So number 8 plays that pass, and now we have 2 players both running down the left, joined in by our attackers coming through the middle. Let's take a look at how pinning would work in a different scenario. So this time we're playing in a 3-4-3 formation up against a yellow team that is playing a 4-4-2. Our pinning assignments for our attacking players look like this. Starting with the forward line, our number 9 is pinning the 2 center backs. Our number 11 is pinning the fullback and center back on his side, and the number 7 is doing the same with the center back and the fullback on his side. Our wing backs, similar to the fullbacks in the last example, are pinning the outside midfielder and the fullback on their side. Our center midfielders then are split in between the center midfielder on their side and the outside midfielder on their side. So the number 8 on our team is pinning the yellow 6 and the yellow 11, and the 10 is pinning the yellow 7 and the yellow 8. Again, at the back, we have a numerical advantage. We have our 3 defenders against the 2 yellow forwards. So you can think of this as the number 6 is pinning the 2 forwards, and then our outside defenders, our left center back is pinning the forward on his side and the outside midfielder on his side. And the same for the number 4 over here. He's pinning this forward and this midfielder. So if we play out to our right-sided center back, now yellow has to make a choice where they're going to go. Either the yellow number 10 is going to come press, or the yellow number 11 will come press. The yellow 10 would press. Remember, our 6 is pinning both the 9 and the 10. If the 10 would press, the 6 would then drop in to give an easy passing opportunity. But since this pass looks like it has beaten the number 10 in yellow, and that our number 4 can now dribble into space, it is most likely that this yellow 11 will have to step up to the ball to close it down. And we see that here. So now remember, our wing back, number 2, is pinning both the 11 and the 3. Because the 11 has stepped out to the ball, our number 2 will now try to move in space that has been made open by the number 11. This means that he's not going to step to his second pin option, which would be this number 3. So he's not going to step higher up the field. He'll then drop in deep and wide, leaving no option for this number 11 to cover him. Number 8 similarly has been pinning the 6 and the 11. So he's not going to move towards the 6 as the 11 has stepped out. He's going to move into space that the 11 has vacated. And we see that here. So number 2 has stepped out wide into space that the 11 cannot cover. And number 8 similarly has moved closer to the number 11, but this is because if he receives his pass and turns, the number 11 then is beaten. In this scenario, it's pretty obvious that the center back would play to the wing back wide open on the wing. And as he does so, the fullback comes out to meet him. Similar to the last example, we remember that one of our forwards is pinning the center back and the fullback on this side, so now he will run into space. However, let's say for this example that this center back, his other pin option, has now followed him into the space and tracked him. The number 9 now, who is pinning the 4 and the 5, now has all of this space to run into, and then we want our wing back to look for that pass into the space that the number 5 has vacated. Thank you for watching. Please leave any feedback in the comments.